Good morning, everyone. Thanks for being here with me.
Hi, everybody.
Good morning.
Hey.
We are going live. It is a Friday morning. I'm here in, it looks like I'm in a gorgeous Glowforge studio, but that is the magic of these digital backgrounds. But I'm here near Seattle. I'm Bailey from Glowforge, and thanks for joining us today. This is our Daydream to Dream Job live expert panel, and you can see all these experts with me here. And hello, hi, everyone. Before I introduce them and get started, a couple things. We have a chat over on the right. So I think you're watching on YouTube. If you're logged in, you'll be able to chat. And we have a couple more Glowforge experts in chat. So that's Michelle, Kate, Rob, and Alicia. Michelle and Kate are kind of there for, well, all of them are for the technical questions, business questions, whatever you like. And Rob, Alicia specifically can make appointments, and they're on a part of our sales team. So everybody there to help us out today. And if you registered for this stream anytime before this morning, you probably got a little surprise in your inbox this morning. We hinted at it, but we've been working really hard on the Daydream to Dream Job guide. And it turned out a lot more robust and huge than I was imagining. It's actually an incredible tool. So you probably haven't gotten a chance to get through all of it yet, because I'm not kidding. There are pages and pages and pages there, including a really nice guest article from Mandy here, who is one of our experts. And there is also a blurb from Bale. And so it's a really cool resource. If you didn't get it and you're feeling left out, we'll send it. We'll continue to send it along. So we'll pop a sign up into chat. So if you want that Daydream with this tactical things in it, we'll be sending that out next. So enough of me talking. I'd love to know in the chat where you're joining us from, and if you have a Glowforge or if you have a small business, tell us a little bit about it so that we can make sure that this panel is really the most helpful for you. And I'd love to introduce our panelists. So first we have Jody. So hey, Jody.
Hi, guys. So happy to be here this morning. I'm Jody, co-owner of Art Shop. I run it with my husband, and we do full service branding, design, illustration, and here to meet all of your design needs. And hopefully we can help fill you in on some branding basics to get you guys going.
Nice. Hey, Jordan.
Hi, my name is Jordan Alexander. I am a small business owner. The business is called Verdant Moon. And you guessed it, it is a Glowforge powered business. So I'm excited to talk about laser, making products, selling them in person, online, all that jazz.
Awesome. And hey, Bale.
Hi, I'm Bale. I'm the owner and creator behind Just One More Project and the Laser Craft Fest. And I too have a business that's powered literally by Glowforge. And I sell digital designs. I teach folks how to create digital designs. I also have
co-founder also with my husband of Surfaces, and we make premium photography backdrops like this and that, as well as all the equipment that you need so that you can take beautiful professional photos in your own home of your products, whether they're Glowforge products, anything you take. We also have digital education. It's a way that you can do it as easily and with as much confidence as possible to sell more of what you do.
Amazing. And I think that's kind of the key to what we're trying to offer today is confidence. So you just heard a little sneak peek into kind of these really different careers that these women have here today. All of them might have something to do with creating, as I think the theme. But the goal of this panel is for you to hear some tips that might just inspire confidence for you to take that next step. This season, this is a popular time, kind of the fall, to start let's see chat. So I'm trying to watch the chat out of the corner of my eye, and I can see a lot of questions coming through. They do have a way to communicate back to us, so we will be able to answer some of those questions live, hopefully. So don't feel ignored, and hopefully we'll get to some of those. But to start us off, we will we're going to start with sort of the journey to your success. So I want to kind of hear a little bit more about how each of you transitioned from a dream you had. Maybe it wasn't a dream of exactly what your job looks like today, but something like it, right? To what you're doing now. So we'll start with Jordan. And Jordan, you were just saying, I know, at markets. And what was your initial vision behind your business, which is called Verdant Moon Studios? And how did you decide where to kind of focus your creative energy? Because you have a lot of it when you got started.
Well, and it's funny that you asked that question, because that is a question I'm constantly asking myself. Like, yes, it's very important to ask that at the beginning, but every year I'm reevaluating, and I'm thinking about that a lot right now. So to like put myself back in my shoes of a couple years ago, Verdant Moon started as basically an avenue for the creative energy that I already had. And that's why when folks ask, like, you know, when did you start Verdant Moon? I'm like, well, either around 2020, 2021, or when I was like 5. Branding tagline that I knew, okay, that's what I'm doing. Now, of course, that's an artist flex to be like, okay, but I can bend that to kind of make whatever I want. But to kind of like hone in on where I needed to focus my energy, this is the boring business person answer, but it goes to like, where is the success? So when I first started the business, I was selling online or in person at markets. So I, would stick with the markets that were performing the best. So if I go to one and I don't sell a bunch, I won't necessarily go back. If I go to some other ones and I'm selling a bunch, top priority, get back there, do it more, get a bigger presence, stuff like that. So that's kind of my number one tip for folks is, yes, start with that creative, beautiful, fun idea that you've always wanted to execute on, and then use the data to make smart decisions, basically.
Totally. Yeah. Even though maybe the events you pictured weren't what you thought they might be or whatever. It's the one where the people are at.
Exactly.
Perfect. So Bale, you have kind of a different journey here. So a community and like this business and community around laser crafting with your Glowforge, called Laser Craft Fest. It just happened a few weeks ago. Right? We're gonna do it again, right? So
I don't know. Yes, sure.
How did you go from being a laser enthusiast all the way to being the leader of something like Laser Craft Fest? And what was that like?
Well, I never actually thought I was going to be a business owner. I didn't go to school for any of this stuff. Like I was a social worker. I mean, my gosh, I had a whole career, and then I had kids, and everything sort of stopped for a little while. I took a break thinking I was just going to stay home with a kiddo for a couple of months. And obviously, as a creative at heart, I got really bored, and I was like, I don't want to do that. So I started out with a vinyl cutter, started creating. I had a handmade business, and I would sell products and different things. And then I started dabbling into like digital stuff. And I remember the first time I ever got a sale that was a digital sale. It was like it was a sweet feeling versus the bittersweet feeling of like you get a product that you have to actually make when you sell it, right? And like I just remember thinking, oh my gosh, I already did that. Wow. Okay, great. And so that it just kind of evolved from there. And I actually got a Glowforge not to make physical products. I got a Glowforge to test digital products. And so like I had no idea that I was going to like go down this whole track. And then after I started designing, I started realizing that there was like not that much education and resources for folks who have lasers. And so it just sort of evolved. Just One More Project now teaches digital design. We have a membership, and then we do the Laser Craft Fest. And we bring together tons of folks in the laser industry every single year and get them learning. And so that's kind of how it's evolved. Would I have imagined that when I was making bows like 7 years ago? No, I would not. But here I am. And I mean, it's going good.
Amazing. Yeah. It's funny where our lives take us. You can't really design it, And speaking of which, Mandy has had, I think, sorry, Mandy, she's dropping something.
I dropped my earbud. Yeah.
You made it.
He's fine. Don't worry. She's had a particularly fascinating journey because she was originally a television actor, a physician, and then now has co-founded this company with her husband. So how did you end up starting Replica with that background?
Yeah, so very similar to Bale, I never thought that I would be doing this right now. But when I was doing my medical residency, I was getting pretty close to the end, pretty close to like fully graduating and being my own doctor in my mid-30s, which is very late. But I was looking around at all my bosses and they were miserable. And yet that was the job that I was supposed to start in like 2 years. So I started well, I wanted to create a side income so that when I finally did fully graduate, I'd be able to choose a job that I enjoyed, not one that was necessarily based on the salary that was going to be paid, because I might not like that job and I had ludicrous student loans, as we can kind of, a lot of us can relate to. So I started this side project. I invented this kitchen gadget that barely worked, but in the process I had to photograph the prototype, and they were awful photographs. So my apartment was dimly lit. I had an outdated and ugly countertop, and I just needed something that I could move next to the one good window that I had. And so I went online and looked at what kind of backdrops existed on the market. There was pretty much 3 types. There was wiggly and cheap, and I knew that that would make my product look wiggly and cheap. There was absolutely gorgeous handmade ones, but they were like $300 a piece. So that wasn't an option. And there was just tons of DIY blogs. And so that light bulb went off that I can't be the only person who has either the creativity or the invention ability to make the thing, but absolutely no idea how to photograph it. And so completely switched gears, created replica surfaces. So we make the premium backdrops. They're rigid and printed. So they weigh less than 2 pounds. You can move them to any window you have in the house. I started that in 2018 as a Kickstarter. It took off, and within about a year, I actually quit medicine. So I had absolutely no idea that my side hustle, if you will, would become my full-time job, but been doing it for 6 years. We've invented this entire studio that lets it be mobile, that won an award for best product of the year. It's been an amazing journey, and one that, like Bale, I did not predict in the slightest.
I have to admit, I thought that was a window behind you for a moment, and then I just
well, that's a surface.
dang, I get what you're doing there.
Oh, that means I've done my job.
Exactly. And that's like, a beautiful kind of segue, because the visuals of you started that product because you found you couldn't present the visual of the vision you had for your brand, that you were this kitchen gadget, you said. And so Jody, I mean, I'm sure you encounter that kind of thing all the time. You encounter people who are excited about a brand or a business idea or something like that, but like visually we look like we're back in 1996 Microsoft Word or something like that. And so, and branding is just like, especially today, because we've got all these tools at our fingertips in theory, but you do still need to have a vision and know how to use them. And so how did you sort of approach, sorry, as I'm toggling our our people around to highlight you, Jody, how did you approach branding a product, especially for like a business that's just starting out, like a Glowforge business? So they've got this thing they're excited about, an earring, a gadget, whatever it is. How do you get them started out?
Yeah, I think the way I would first approach a branding design project, especially for someone starting out with a Glowforge powered business, beyond the initial and hopefully obvious understanding of the products and services they offer, is to really understand your mission, your vision, and your core values as a brand. Even if getting these down on paper feels daunting, like I really urge you to work through it. It can seem kind of hard, and I think sometimes we can be so close to something that we don't understand it or think we understand it or see it. But I know that we all inherently know these things about our own businesses. So really kind of working through that, getting those down on paper, making them concise is really going to help you build the foundation for the rest of the work you're going to do to help build a beautiful and lasting brand for yourself. And then I would say the next step is to really identify your target audience, like what are their demographics, their age, their gender, where do they live, what are their interests, do they have pain points, are those with your competitors, is it because there's a void in the marketplace, why are they seeking your product? and try to understand what that is, and then be that solution for them, be that community for them, and be that support for them. And I will say, to Mandy's credit at Replica Surfaces, that's something they've like nailed to the core, is really being a community and a support for all of their customers. And I think that's why they have such an incredible and invaluable brand base. They have such a loyal following. And then finally, do your market analysis, research your competitors, figure out who else is out there, what they're doing. What are they doing that's similar to you or different from you? And are these things well received or not? And how can you take these learnings and help build your brand better?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot to be learned from who's out there already trying it. Just in the same, I believe that the same as I believe that there's room for everyone. I do think sometimes people think, maybe even coming to an event like this, oh my gosh, there's hundreds of people watching this live, y'all, right now. So in theory, there's hundreds of people excited about making things with the laser and selling them. And so, but there's still room for you, never fear. So
I think that's a great point. And my husband and I, my business partner, we talk about that all the time. It's like, how can we pivot, or what can we do, or what's something new we can add to our business? And I think sometimes we'll get caught up in it and think like, well, somebody's already doing that. And it's, of course, somebody's already doing it. There's only so many things that can be done, but figure out how to do it better. What's your spin on that? We all can bring something super unique to the table and make it our own. So just figure out what that is and do it better. And we're all capable of that.
Absolutely. I loved what you said about like the things that you need to know about your business, kind of like your core values and your competitors and who your target customers are. So getting those things written down. I think a lot of new businesses also feel pressure to have a fully developed and consistent brand, like a logo. We've got to have colors. We have to have messaging. We have to have all the things all the time. Like, what advice would you give to a new entrepreneur who wants this fully developed brand? How quickly do we need to get there, and how do we experiment to get to this best version of it?
I mean, I would say take your time working through it. I think as a creative myself, as a designer and a perfectionist, I always want everything perfect when I start out, but that's not the best way to go about these things necessarily. I say try something, put it out there, and test the waters, test the marketplace. I think making small steps along the way to achieve that vision that you're looking for is really key. And just as you make those small steps, make sure that they're consistent steps,
Right.
Understand your target audience and your market again, and really figure out how to kind of define and shape the steps that you're making to build that brand from the ground up.
Absolutely.
I don't think we said this earlier. So Jody is the creative director behind Replica Surfaces. So she took our brand, which initially started as the word Replica Surfaces written in the font Quicksand with a peach underline that my husband and I made up together, and she turned it into what you see today. And we're very brand cohesive, brand heavy. We're starting lean. We used that wasn't Comic Sans. Don't touch Comic Sans. Other than that, and it was hard because I too am a perfectionist, but started lean, and then when the time was right, moved to someone like Jody that really just took it way beyond the next level. So don't be afraid to do that. Start lean.
I love it. There we go. A case study. It works. We're getting a question from chat that I want to kind of do a round robin on it. So it's what obstacles, if any, if this wasn't just a walk in the park for all of you building a business, did you encounter? So who wants to start with an obstacle?
I got one. So 3 months into starting Replica, my husband actually decided to first quit his job in medicine. And so he quit his job in the morning, and at noon, we got a call from our manufacturer who'd been around for 40 years that they were going out of business. And we had 12 hours to come and pick up all of our product, all of our material, or it would get seized. So we had to come in the next morning and remove it all and go find a new partner. And so that felt like the absolute of the world.
Did not see that coming.
Have that warrior mentality. Like, you get hit with something horrible, because you're going to get hit with something horrible, like at least once a month. And just know that you've gotten through the last 12 months of the horrible things that have happened. You will get through this one as well. And doing your best to rely on incredible partners as they come your way would be my first
That's
advice.
definitely an obstacle. You've got a great answer for that every time you're asked for the rest of your
I think it's also
Right.
important to remember.
Everything else is in perspective.
Yeah.
I think it's also important to remember that when you're first starting out, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just like you said, like, you can have a logo that is not your jam, and that's okay. How many of you started off with a different logo that is now a completely, I mean, everybody does that, and it is no big deal. And I think that it just, once you figure out who you are and figure out what kind of brand you are, all of that stuff evolves.
An obstacle. I mean, we've taken on clients that have asked us to do stuff that we've never done before, and we said, yeah, I know how to do it, and you figure it out, and we look at each other as the call ends in a panic, like, what are we doing? And it's
What
like
did we
the
do?
most stressful 72 hours of our lives, and we think like we're crazy, and then we figure it out, and then we know how to do it the next time, and you build on those experiences. I know this was before my husband joined. Within
Yeah.
I mean, I was 8 months pregnant. We locked down, and within 24 hours, I lost every single client I had. Everyone shut down their business, and I panicked. And within a matter of 2 weeks, I had reached out to everyone. We all figured out how to pivot their business, how we could use our design resources to help them do that, how we could, make a new product for them, whatever that was. And the next 2 months, we were busier than we'd ever been. So just, I think, being agile, building upon those experiences, and remembering to remain confident and know that you can do this and you will get through it. And it's going to make you stronger.
I love that.
Yep.
Yeah. And I just think there's a lot to be said for the power of, I think we probably all had different like communities and people that we leaned on during COVID, because that was a challenge and obstacle for, I think, pretty much everyone. And then whether you're finding creators who create like you, or entrepreneurial communities, or whatever it is, finding communities to lean on, we try to create that here with having like a stream like this, because we hear from all of you that have a Glowforge or thinking about getting one, the dreams that you have of what your life could look like if you were making things, making money for yourself with the things that you make and with your creativity, which is a lot of here today. Getting some questions I just want to go through quickly. Resources. If you did not receive it this morning, you can sign up in chat. Hopefully we'll post it now. You can sign up to receive our brand new Daydream to Dream Job guide. So it's a companion to this stream, but it's more and less. It's not the same. It's more tactical. It's very long. It's got a great Mandy, but we go through pricing, we go through branding, we go through just seasonal project ideas. Actually, if you're on the list to get the guide, we intend to start sending regular kind of project idea trend report sort of things, like a seasonal email that tells you like the things that people are printing, what people are buying, and kind of just a way to stay connected around what's going on in there. Will there be a recording of this live? Yes. You can, like, if you refreshed it right now, start back over from the beginning. So if you missed the beginning, you could rewind and kind of watch us on TiVo. So it's still called. And is there a location where I can find the names and their company? And we will give them a moment to tell you all of that, and we can put it in chat. And then also I'll send up a follow-up email that has all of that as well. So you can definitely find that. Okay, let's move on to our next section of the questions, which is back to community, a great theme here. So, Bale, let's start with you. So, Bale, a community around laser crafting, and you organized laser craft, which we talked a little bit about. What was your secret, though? What's the secret sauce to building and maintaining that kind of engaged community? And how did Glowforge play a role in it, if it did?
Well, I feel like for me, the whole starting of the community just sort of fell in my lap, right? Like it was just, I had this idea and a lot of people were agreeing with it and it just sort of came together. And so I think that one of the big things that you need to remember is when you are building a community with all these goals in mind is you have to have passion and you have to have the ability to connect together. So of learning how to design files, learning how to use my laser, I didn't want to just keep that to myself. I wanted to share that and be authentic with it and, share like the struggles that I had. Cause I was 100% self-taught, had no idea what I was doing. I kind of like to think of myself as like a tech nerd now, which was like not the case years ago. And so it's just like trying to get people to see that like you're a human and that they can relate to that. And I think that that is what has helped a lot for me, is just being real and, these are the struggles that everybody has and just finding that connection point. And it has Glowforge played a role. Yeah, like totally. It's just made everything so much more easier for me to learn. I like to say so many times, and I think I've told you this before, Bailey, is that like Glowforge is like the valet parking of lasers, and it's just so funny because like who likes to self park when you can just valet park? And so I think that's been the like I didn't have to spend so much time in actually learning how to use my laser.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so Mandy, next you have, we know, a pretty impressive community among the replica folks, and you offer a ton of resources for your creators. And so, why did you make that a main focus when you were building your business? And what advice do you have for Glowforge business owners that are starting up and that maybe want to do the same or considering how much to invest in community behind their businesses?
Yeah, so the reason that we created a community at all was because I was starting to teach photography techniques via Instagram. And I was getting inundated with DMs asking other questions. What kind of equipment are you using? What if I sell this? What if I sell that? And it was as much as I loved that, it was starting to become really time consuming to answer each one of those DMs individually, rather than having a community where somebody else can pipe in. So created a community where it wouldn't just be a me to audience, it would be everybody interacting together and sharing. I mean, it took like, I don't know, 2 weeks to get like 10 people in there. So in the beginning, it was me talking to myself via 2 different accounts.
That's
and
fun, right?
And then I'd have my friends come in and be like, ask me a question.
These are the secrets, people.
Can you ask me a question so I look okay?
So you will do your own, you will be your own engagement until, of course, it doesn't take that long, but you will hit the tipping point where other people will start feeling comfortable enough to pipe in and take it over from you, so that you then can be as active as you want to be. I encourage being active. I mean, I'm still very active in the community, but I don't have to be to the degree that I used to be, because everybody is helping themselves out. So that's number one thing is, it's going to be quiet for a little bit. Talk to yourself and don't feel weird about that. Number two is to have something that can bind them together beyond just your product and your business. People don't just want to talk about what you make. There's
Right.
got to be something that they, because they love you and they believe in what you do, there's a reason behind that. So we didn't start the community to talk about replica surfaces. It was to talk about photography and the struggles you're having and how to get your photos better, and extend it into business. How do you run a small business of this kind? And so because there was that value that was being provided, people would then organically mention our services, so they will start to help you advertise, but that's not the point. And if you treat it as the point, your community can't grow. Yeah. But if you treat the education and the bond that you're creating, they will start to talk about your product, to the point where now people go, hey guys, should I get the studio? And then somebody will be like, yeah, it's a total game changer. I can't imagine life without it now. And I didn't have to do that. So
you're like, score.
It becomes wonderful, but don't focus on that in the beginning, or it can be a turnoff.
That's
great.
And
then number 3 is you absolutely have to foster positivity and support. There are nasty, nasty places on the internet that people can go, but they're in your community to be supported and to feel good about what they're doing and encouraged. So in the beginning, you may have to do a little bit more moderation. You may have snarky comments, or even ones that just come across as cold and judgmental, even if you're not sure if the poster meant it that way. And you have to nip that in the bud. If you do, the community will understand that that's how you operate, and they will self-police later. So at this point, we have like 20,000 members, and almost never do we have to moderate or delete a nasty comment. It's just not allowed in the culture. And so people they're just good to each other now. So I think those would be my 3 things for getting a community started.
I love it.
And as a business owner, though, it's also, Mandy, I'm glad you mentioned that, because a lot of times, like when you see those snarky comments and things, like you start going down a rabbit hole of, oh my gosh, did I do that wrong? Is that bad? How do I change this? And it's so important to just like let those things go. People, that person might have had a bad day and now they're just taking it out on your community, and it's like, just remember, people are going to say negative things, and it's okay. It happens. Move on.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, you're totally right. It is really easy to take it to heart, because the fact that you're here means that you care so much about your business and what you're putting out into the world. And so any criticism is hard, and it hurts.
Like a stab, because it's all your hard work. I got you.
Thicken that skin, because way more people love you than have any criticisms.
Yeah.
Truly.
So true. Yeah. Jordan, I want to ask you about because you kind of do both. You see these people on the internet, which are mostly lovely, but sometimes are trolls. And then people in person. And so have you found any strategies for building a customer base in both places, or maybe like amplifying online sales on a day that you have a cool event happening? Do you have any idea behind that?
Yeah, you nailed it. So in thinking about this, the 2 things absolutely feed each other. Like when I'm in person, I'm trying to also get some online, love. And when I'm online, I'm also trying to use that to get some in-person love. Mm-hmm. So I have 3 bottles of secret sauce that I use to do that. And I'll share those with you. You're welcome. My favorite one, and like the most important, because it touches on both, is what I have lovingly deemed the Hannah Montana method. So like, people ask me at my booths, because I dress mostly like this, they'll come up and they'll be like, do you dress like this all the time? If time were unlimited and I could just like wake up cartoon character style and be like this, like, yes, I totally would. Like, we all have our days where it's like, no, sweatshirt, sweats, leave me alone. But the point, the Hannah Montana, like when I'm in a Verdant Moon context, I'm still me, cranked to a 10. Like my version of the blonde wig is bright colors, bright acrylic, all that jazz. And so that's like when people ask for like, if I could teach them one thing, what is it? It's that, the Hannah Montana method. Be yourself, but like crank it.
Smart.
Yeah. And so like in person, I don't have a name for this. So like in chat, if you want to name this method, be my guest. I made a note here. I'm like, party time, call it party time. So basically the like in person, the party secret sauce, I don't know, whatever. But the idea there, so for in-person markets, the thing that's different about that than online is it's so temporary. Like that event is right there from 10 to 4. So there's, in the ones I do, often there's more than 200 booths. So not only are you struggling to get people to the event in the first place, there are now 199 other places they could go. So, do you want to go to the boring booth or the party booth? You would go to the party booth. So like that's my secret there is I'm like trying to have fun. If I'm allowed to, I bring my Bluetooth speaker and I'm like highly caffeinated like I am right now with like 6 cups of coffee and I'm ready to rage. Because like, that's what I found.
I
Like,
feel terrible in my black t-shirt now. Come on.
hey, no shade to the black. It's just my vibe. And everyone has their vibe, and this, is mine. So yeah, so that's my in-person method, and then my favorite named one. This one I'm not changing the name. I'm very proud of this. My online method, the spaghetti method. So we're throwing spaghetti at the wall until something sticks. So I guess I didn't come up with that, but the spaghetti method I just think is very fun. But the idea there is, so all of the things that I learned in person when I realized, oh, these booths are like really hard to set up. So I'd love to make money not always setting up a booth. I was like, okay, so let's take everything I learned, the Hannah Montana method, the party method, and take it online. And I'm sure all of the people in chat are on Instagram, they're on YouTube, they're whatever, TikTok posting. And it is hard to know what to do until a noodle sticks. And then you just want to like focus on that noodle. So like a couple months ago, I had a couple of videos go viral, which was like, now what? But the thing I learned is like to build that loyal base, I had to deliver on what they were expecting from me because that video popped off, they saw it, they liked it. But then I had to start delivering that same vibe over and over. And thank goodness I had worked and posted a bunch of stuff that did not work before that so that I knew, okay, I understand what happened here. This is me. It's my vibe. Because that's like the tip I always give folks is make sure if you do pop off, it's something you want to keep doing because you'll have to deliver on that. And so then, all of that to say, I'll bring it back to the business and making decisions that are smart, synergy. When the online stuff starts popping off, you promote your events. At the events, pop off your online stuff. And then, you get a bunch of party people like my verdant moonies.
Cute moonies. I love that.
I think something that like your brand too. I think if you're authentic and you put that out into the world, people pick up on that. They see that. They can see when you're not being authentic. And I think that kind of pushes communities and people away. So just being true to yourself and who you are and trusting that gut feeling and putting that out into the universe is going to do wonders for you and your business.
And I'll admit something now. When I first started Verdant Moon, I was selling that. And I was like, oh yeah, there's a space for this. There are people that like this.
People can smell inauthenticity like really quickly.
Yeah, there's a quote that I love that is, I trust my work will find its audience. And the only thing I don't love about it is it feels a little passive because you have to go find that audience. But the point is that you can't know exactly how big that audience is going to be. But when you're true to whoever Jordan is, she found her verdant moonies, yeah, it's whenever you try to be not yourself, it shows instantly. And yeah.
We're trying to be something for everyone, right? Like maybe not everything is going to be everyone's
really good point.
but you commit to it, and then you're the dream for for so many. I love that. That's so cool.
Totally.
We're getting some questions from chat that I want to do another round robin on, maybe. But if you start out with this hobby, and I guess take that as you will, photography, laser crafting, design, I don't know, but and if so, did it burn your passion for the hobby out, or do you still enjoy it as a hobby? And can you talk a little bit about that? Who wants to start?
You want to go first, Jordan?
I have a lot of thoughts about that. Just as the person that still does like the selling the handmade things, like that is something that I'm constantly working through. Is that like I love the thing that I do, but now when I'm like, Jordan, log off, I'm like, what do I do now? And so my big tip for folks is if you have a hobby that you absolutely love and you can see yourself doing it all day, every day, great. But then now you also probably need to find a new hobby so that you have something that you're not like putting a lot of pressure on the metrics and yada yada. So for me, that's volleyball. I'm like, now I just go outside and I'm like, okay, unplug. And it's not that it's like, I still obviously love handmaking stuff, if you couldn't tell from all the, stuff over there. So I would never say that it has burned the hobby, but it's something that you have to be super intentional about and just like check in with yourself and make sure that like, am I still having fun? Am I still doing the thing I want to do? And if not, how can I change that?
Yeah.
It's a little bit different for me because I wasn't a photographer in the slightest when I started Replica Surfaces. I was very much exactly a user, like very much a customer, a person who created something and didn't know what they were doing. So I completely learned photography from scratch so that I could teach it to other people in the exact same situation as me. So I didn't come from it as an expert. I came as a brand new learner, which I think the benefit of that is that it's a little easier to teach when you're newer to having just learned, because you can teach the way that you kind of wish you had learned. So I took something I didn't know and I kind of made it into a hobby and business simultaneously. And so I think that's also something that some people think that they must be absolutely head over heels passionate about what they make a business about, but you can become passionate about the soft parts of a business. So I've become passionate about teaching and helping creators to make more sales and thrive in their businesses. It doesn't matter so much that I didn't come from a background of adoring photography in and of itself. I found so much love in creating a business and helping people. So if you find that that you're very good at certain aspects, teaching, business, community building, it doesn't so much matter your subject matter.
Yeah. I think for me, it's just always been being creative in some way. I was the kid that never wanted to play with dolls. I just wanted to draw and make things. And I was lucky enough to have two creative parents that on the weekends we'd go to the craft store and we'd pick a craft and we'd make it. My dad would take me into the garage and teach me how to make things with power tools and saws. And so I think design was just kind of the natural progression for me for career, but I'm also very hands-on with craft. I love to close my computer at the end of the day and go make something tactile. And I've also figured out how to bring that into my business. I have a client, one in particular, who I style all their photo shoots and I make handmade paper art to style everything and paper fruit. And, so I think there's a way to kind of merge both of those worlds and figure out how not to burn out. And there are times where you just don't feel creative and you kind of have to shut it and go play your volleyball or walk around the block or, watch some trash TV for a minute. But like, I think that you can find both and merge it without having to worry about that burnout so much.
Yeah. And if you find something that is your hobby and you're able to turn that into a business, for me, it never really feels like I'm working very hard. It feels really great. Although the disadvantage of that is like you can be working all hours of the day and not really realize it, and then you're like, well, it's
positive. Yeah.
But you're doing really love way that doesn't feel like. Make sure you're really mindful about how much time you're actually spending on it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just trying to decide what direction to take this conversation in. There's so many. We only have a blank minute left, and we have so many questions. I'm just trying to pick and choose sort of the best ones out of here. So if I might go a little rogue here, panelists. So get ready.
Let's do it.
So let's see. So let's talk about inspiration a little bit, because I think, like, again, everyone here probably watching, everyone in the panel, it considers themselves a creative person, a creative in some way. And like we just talked about, especially if your job or the job that you want to do is some form of your hobby or your creative hobby, there can be like some burnout or too much sometimes. So when we hit creative blocks, how do we stay inspired? So Jody, I'd love to hear from you when you're developing brand identities, or take this even further into thinking of someone creating new product ideas or something. what do you do to stay inspired and keep things fresh?
Yeah, I think for me, it's kind of it can be a change of scenery. It can be, getting outside of your comfort zone. I think to give advice on this is a little hard because I think inspiration can come from a million different places for a million different people. And it's such a personal thing. You kind of just have to find that thing that puts you in your flow and in your groove and makes you feel good. But go to the Maker Marts, go to your favorite store, go to a news store, get on Pinterest. I mean, that can be good and bad because you don't want to fall in line and get caught up with what everyone else is doing and the crazy design trends, but it can really kind of get you thinking in a new way if you feel stuck. I like to pull inspiration from the obvious and the unexpected. I think there's a really great Japanese market near where I live, and we'll just go walk the aisles, and there's something about being in this environment that feels different. I didn't have to take a trip to Japan. Unfortunately, that would be even better. But, there's something about the different packaging styles, the colors, the typography, the illustrations they use. I seem to always leave there with a kernel of some idea for something I'm working on. It doesn't need to be a $20,000 European vacation. Take a day trip someplace new. I find a lot of inspiration from interior design personally. But just like surrounding yourself, it doesn't need to be like if you're working on a logo, needs to feel. Dee and I have talked about this, a lot of this idea of getting the flow and finding that, and you're in your groove. And that's when, for me, when I sit down at my coffee playlist, just get to the groove and design, and like hours will go by, and I don't even know what it was that morning that inspired me, but something felt right and got me going. So I just think it is such a personal thing, but find that thing that makes you feel good.
Yeah, it is a really a different thing for everyone. But I think the idea, though, I just see like a lot of nodding and understanding, and I imagine everyone watching is doing that too, is that everyone who's creative hits those kind of blocks, and you're not just going to be bursting with ideas and fresh new things all the time. And so it's okay to let yourself have a moment that you're feeling blocked, and then dream of something new.
And that could be sorry, Jody. That could be a sign of like being burnt out. Like you're doing your hobby as a job, and that is a serious sign of getting burnt out. And that's when you need to take that break and go take a walk, go on a vacation, whatever it has to be.
Yeah, I think that's what I was just gonna say is you can feel so stressed in the moment. Like I'm up against a deadline. I have to get this done. I'm not feeling inspired. I don't have time to take a break. Sometimes just turning off your Glowforge, whatever it is, and taking the 10 minutes is going to be more productive through that block in that moment.
Yeah. And absolutely. Piggybacking about what Jody said about setting your environment, that's totally different for every person, right? But I know that for me, if there are dirty dishes on the counter, they're going to pop into my mental space.
Yeah.
And so for me, as much as I detest doing the dishes, if I don't do them, they're wrecking the flow that Jody mentioned earlier. So if you can kind of identify what those things might be for you, you can curate your environment accordingly to just give you the best chance of that flow.
Mandy, I think mine are dirty dishes too, for sure.
I think they have to be. I think it has to be true. Like 95% of them.
Like get them out of here.
And then at the end, you've both had a good creative space, and your dishes are done.
Yeah,
so
totally.
It's not the worst thing in the world.
So sometimes we're inspired just by the things that we love. Like I think if you go on Etsy or just any market, like you're going to see a lot of fan art, a lot of I love it. Really amazing opportunity to a major brand from my childhood, which was strawberry shortcake. And so if you've seen it, Verdant Moon, I think is it still on your website right now?
the big image, baby.
Okay, yeah. So she has like a collab with Strawberry Shortcake, and I just like love for you to talk a little bit about how that partnership came about, and what advice would you give to Glowforge users or business owners who like are seeking to do an official IP partnership?
Totally. Yeah. So, I mean, my advice for anyone is when an opportunity shows up, go for it. So the way that the partnership came about for me was very roundabout and very like, okay, I got to make this happen, and I got a lot of things have to align to make it happen. So the long story short, I got invited to by an old colleague create client gifts for the Strawberry Shortcake team because that agency was doing like work for them, and he was like, yeah, like I'm looking for a way to say thank you, so I want a gift made, and you make these like mobile things, do you think maybe you could like make one that's a strawberry? And I was like, oh, I can make one that's a strawberry, and I suspended like little crystal seeds in the hole. Like I was like, no, I'm taking this opportunity to make a couple $100, and I'm, taking it beyond that. So anyway, I made the mobiles, and he was like, okay, these are pretty cool. There's this like wrap party. Do you just want to come drop them off yourself? You gonna go to a party for Strawberry Shortcake or not? Of course you're gonna go. This like bandana from this party, whatever. So cool. I like go to the party and I give the strawberries to the folks, and then my old colleague is like, yeah, hey, this is the head of licensing for Strawberry Shortcake. So we get to chatting, and I'll admit that it was like easy mode because this person, she loved the mobile gift. So she was like, how can we do more of this? But my advice here is like any task that comes to you like that, do your absolute best so that it's easier to sell. Like, how do I make that moment for myself? It can't go nowhere. So my advice to folks who have come to, I'm sending DMs to brands and I'm not hearing back, to collaborate with and go bigger. Like a DM most of the time isn't going to get you what you need. So my advice is to folks, make the thing that you want to then do the partnership for, so that the folks making these decisions can see the vision. So that's Strawberry mobile that I huge creation, exact same techniques, but I proved like, hey, I can do this huge and big and show-stopping, but I can also make hundreds of these smaller, more easily to sell to many people options. So my advice to folks is make that fan art, but blow it out of the water. Be very strategic about which brand makes sense for you as a creator to work with, and then just shoot your shot. That's what I have to say.
Yeah, I was. Oh no, go for it.
I was going to say, piggybacking on that, if you happen to be like a content creator, so I desperately wanted to be featured, some of my teaching for photography on Shopify, because so many, I mean, that's like almost every e-commerce store. So I wanted Shopify and I wanted Etsy. So I, before even approaching them, wrote an article, which is, similar to what you guys are going to get in the seller's guide that you have exclusive access to. But I wrote these articles, and then Jody made them look like they were present on the either the Shopify blog by using like their logo and their colors, or on Etsy, so that when I approached them, they could just go, I want it, give it to me. And I didn't have to be like, trust me, I'm good. It was like, do you like this? Is this right for you guys? And they were instantly able to go, yes, this is right for us. And they posted those blogs. So that could be a way that if you're doing something that might not be physical, send them the work ahead of time. Send them the work before you've even approached, and before you even asked.
I think, sorry, Bailey. I was just gonna say, I think all of us as creatives, it's so easy for us to visualize things, and when we explain it, we just assume everyone else is visualizing what we're explaining, but so many people are not. So I think Jordan and Mandy, you guys have nailed it. Like, just make the thing and do it, because when people see it, they get it. But if you're just trying to explain these things to them, they're not putting this idea into the universe like we are seeing it. So I think
they're not as creative as you.
And that's okay. But you have to kind of help them along the way, and putting that effort in up front, I think, will pay dividends in the end.
And no one else does that either. Everyone's going to send them a cold DM, and they might be the perfect person, but they have no idea. They're just they're a face, but it's an Instagram face, versus if you actually do the work ahead of time, whatever it is, physical or not, then you've already done your audition. The work's done the moment they say yes. So yeah. Agreed. And no one else does that.
That's how we had our very first laser Glowforge catalog. Was she shipped us a box of laser made things, and that blew our mind. Our company was getting a lot of attention because of our crowdfund, but nobody had really bothered to like send us a box of things, and we were like, this girl knows what she's doing. She's got amazing work. We had our hands on it, and I mean, we had a bunch of resumes, but hers stood out because of that. So I think that's an amazing tip. That's fab. Yeah. Oh my gosh, we have so many questions. I'm really overwhelmed by how many questions we have. We didn't get through all of our the ones that we plan on asking. So I think for all of you watching, I think we can agree this was super successful, and you have a lot of questions beyond this. So I think we will find ways to get you a little bit more genius from these people's heads over the next couple days and weeks. I'm hoping to do perhaps some emails that answer some of these questions, maybe some social media content, and we're certainly going to give you the background, or like how to find them after this. So, and yes, and we'll do I'm getting DMs in the background. Maybe we could do another one of these. I think it's been popular. So maybe we can do another one of these. But I feel like I learned so much, and maybe I want to start a Glowforge powered business now. No, I have my side hustle right now is dog sitting, and I have started making things like little dog bandanas. I use the iron on, use the SVG tool. I made my little logo. I'm doing the Glowforge business thing. Really clear where to find each of you. So Jordan, you want to give us your business name, the website? I know verbally isn't the best. Our chatters will help put this in chat too, and also social media handles that we can find you on.
Yeah, perfect. So I am verdantmoonstudio.com. Verdant is VERDANT, little vocab word for you. And then my Instagram handle is the same, so it's going to be at Verdant Moon Studio. Those are the two best places to find me. And I will say, I love talking shop. I love talking about all this. So shoot me a DM if you're like, wait, but what did you mean by this? Happy to keep chatting.
Jordan's a fun follow too. She's doing a lot of the cool kids doing with the reels and the sounds and polls and stuff. So she gives you really inspired of new fun things to try on Instagram with social media. So even if you just want social inspo for somebody who's like really nailed in their brand, great follow there. Bill, what about you?
Yes, I'm Just One More Project on Instagram. You can find me at justonemoreproject.com. Those of you that are into lasers and you want to learn more, we do the Laser Craft Fest a couple of times a year. We're going to do it again next year. And it's lasercraftfest.com. And yeah, you can find any, I too love to nerd out a little bit. And so feel free to send me messages on any kind of design stuff, because that's my jam too.
If you're thinking about getting a Glowforge, Bale, we've worked with on kind of like reviewing and talking through the different types of Glowforges that we have. And we did just launch our Glowforge Pro HD, our most top of the line, most recommended for business owners. She has some great videos on it, and she's happy to talk to you about it. So look that there. And then what about you, Mandy?
So replicasurfaces.com. We actually just dropped 7 new holiday if you do have interest in that or anything. I also, because you guys are here and you took time out of the day to listen to all of us, and you clearly care so much about your business, if surfaces or anything that we do are right for you, Dream Job 25 will get you 25% off. And that group, just type in surfaces there, be part of it, ask questions, but also take a look. What rule customer, use it as an example, and then be a bit. Read your guide that's coming, because I'm showing you things like.
Yes, oh, good. I'm glad you're going to do this. Yeah.
Hold on. Can you see it? Okay. I'm
Oh,
showing
yeah.
you things like taking a tall prop in the back, your Glowforge creation or whatever your product is in the center, and 2 tiny little props in the corner. It's truly this simple. It looks insane because it's so simple, but then you end up with, hold on.
There she goes. Let's see. She was laughing about this earlier.
Something as beautiful as that, even though you're just using portrait mode on your phone. So that's what we do. It has to be easy. It has to be painless, and it has to sell your product. That's my spiel.
Beautiful. Well, you just showed it to us, but I was going to say, if you go on either the Replica or the Glowforge Instagrams, we've done a couple partnership posts over the past month where you can see a few influencers working with a Replica with their Glowforge made things. So you can see how those really partner beautifully together as mandated. Awesome. And then
props right now, but you can find me on Instagram.
I feel like bigger now.
At Art Shop Creative, art.shop.creative. And we're actually currently going through a little brand refresh ourselves. So our website is not currently up, but it will be artshopcreative.com. We'll let you guys know on Instagram when that drops and goes live. I know they just put my email in the chat as well. So feel free to send me a DM, reach out through email. Happy to answer any design questions you have, or happy to help build your dream brand for you.
Amazing. Okay.
There's no better creative director in the world.
Yeah. It's a little biased there, but
not biased.
Proof.
Replica couldn't be what it is without Jody. Just saying.
There we go. I see the chat is like flying. So for those of you that feel like you missed something, I will be sending an email that has a link to watch this back, as well as, again, this big Daydream to Dream Job guide. If you already received it this morning, if you registered for this before today, you would have received it this morning. If you are just tuning in today but didn't register, you can register just to get that, and we'll get it in your inbox ASAP. It's a really good resource for whatever stage you are at starting the small business. It has advice around pricing, branding, photography, just inspiration, stuff specific to Glowforge, stuff that can span more different types of small businesses. So definitely check that out. I think that's all. Thank you all so much for joining us. This was so much fun, and we will see you next time.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Bailey.